This conference will now be recorded.
We finished discussing about the BBP phase yesterday. So we have seen what all the activities we perform in the BBP phase, and we also discussed what documents we would be preparing in the BBP phase. All right. So today we would be discussing about the realization and the final, realization, final
Hey, Praveen.
preparation, and go live. Yeah, Jason.
Praveen,
Any question?
yeah, when will you upload the recording session in the drive?
It's already uploaded, Jason. I need to share you the access. So everyone, you'll get access by tonight. My time now it is 8. So by 10:30 today night, my time, you'll be getting access, everyone. Okay,
Okay, thanks.
right? So and the video, once you get the access, the video will be directly uploaded onto the drive. You will not get any notification. You just check it. So you need to give me 1 day lead time. That means today's video, you'll get it tomorrow. Just check in the drive, the video will get uploaded in the drive. So you'll not get any notification for that, right? So today let's discuss about the realization phase. So what activities we do in the realization phase? That is, we have two packages, baseline scope and major scope. Major scope is nothing but final configuration. Then we take a sign off from the customer, and then we proceed to the final preparation. So realization phase is nothing but something getting materialized in the SAP system. So you start configuring the client's business process into the SAP system by seeing, just a moment, just a moment, need to share link for another two people. Right, I will do it. I sent link to everyone. So is link missing for someone or just a moment? Okay, yeah, let's proceed. So realization phase, this is where you get the first access to the system, and until now you don't have an access to the config client. So whatever the access you have is only for the sandbox to try some scenarios. But now this is first time you will be getting the access to the config client, and you start doing the configurations. So what is the purpose of realization phase? The purpose of this phase is to implement all the business processes requirements based on the BBP. That means based on BBP, you gathered all the requirements and you prepared a BBP document. In that you have a 2B. 2B is, so what's going to be in the system, right? So by seeing the 2B, you start configuring the client business process in the SAP system. So who in the interview, if they ask you from which phase of SAP you are part of a implementation, see, usually in the realization phase, you will be seeing associates because it's a desk job configuring by seeing the uh, 2B with that BBP document. So if in the interview they ask you from which phase of SAP you are involved in the project, if the question is from your first project when you're associate, you can tell realization phase because associates will not be involved in the BBP phase. So if you are a 4 years plus consultant, then you can tell BBP. If they ask you, okay, so how do you start your career and what is the first phase of SAP you worked in your career, then it is realization phase, right? So in the realization phase, we have two packages. One is baseline and final configuration. So in the baseline configuration is module specific, very, very important interview question. So throughout the document, you will be seeing some highlights, some yellow highlights like this. There are some red highlights in the document, some blue highlights. These are going to be your interview question for sure. For sure, the same questions you'll face in the interview. What is gap, or what is as is, what is to be, or what documents you prepared, or baseline scope, final scope. These going to be your questions. So don't ignore something if it is highlighted. So baseline scope, that is module specific configurations. As an SD consultant, you do your job. MM consultant will do their job. So once all the consultants do their own job, but SAP is an ERP which is collaboration between all the departments, that is modules. That is nothing but integration. So once we do the baseline configuration, that is module specific, then we go to the final configuration, that is integration between modules. So SD integrates with MM, FI, PP, CO. So these many modules, right? So all that particular integrations you would be doing in the final configuration. So whenever you prepare some document, let's say you are preparing a Word document or a presentation, it can be any document. What you do when you are preparing a document, once you're done with the work, you give a meaningful name and you save it so that it's easy for you to retrieve. Let's say I want to search an integration document in my system. What I do, I'll type it as SDMM or else integration document. Right? MMSDFI integration. That means I give a meaningful name for any document so that whenever I need, I can easily search and find out, right? That the same way, whenever you do some configuration in the SAP system, you need to save it in some request number called as TR request, that is transport request. That means whatever the configuration you do, you need to save that configuration in a request so that the configuration can be transported from one server to other server, right? So configuration should be transferred, right, from one system to other server. So how the transportation will happen, who will transport? The transportation will done by your basis consultants, administrators. So to make them to transport the configurations from one server to other server, you need to follow some procedure that's called as saving in the request. So how do you save the request as a consultant? What is your role in the transport request? That is, so whenever you are doing some configuration and when you click on save, system will prompt for a dialog box like this, prompt for customizing request. So what you do here, you give the meaningful description. This is the description. So what you're supposed to do, let's say you are having sales organization. You are creating some sales organization. Okay, give a description. And this is the TR number, transport request number. That means this TR number is holding this particular configuration you are working now. Okay, what are the configuration you have done, that is saving of sales organization, is uniquely saved in this particular TR number. So later what you do, you send this TR number along with the description to the basis consultant so that he will transport it from one server to other server, right? So as a consultant, what is your role in this transportation request? That is, once you do some configuration that particular day, you need to make a note of all those configurations into an Excel sheet, giving the TR number and the description, and send that Excel sheet to your lead or your basis consultant directly. Once they get an approval, he will transport it from one server to other server. And the transport requests are like, so there are parent and a child. This is a parent for which it has a child request. So what you need to do, first you need to release the child request. So when you're working, the configurations will be in the locked phase. That means basis consultant cannot transport unless until you release it. So first you need to release the child request, then you need to release the parent request. Then only you would be able to transport it. See, for our discussion, I was saying it as child and parent, but this is technically called as request and task. Request means parent, child means task. So in the interviews, they may ask a question, what is the difference between a request and task? So one request contains any number of tasks. The one parent contains any number of childs. That means, so it's up to the business, like what they decide, how you want to do the particular saving, whether you want to save all the configuration only in one TR number, or you want to save each configuration in a separate TR number. Okay, that briefing would be given to you once you into the project in the induction. So how you should proceed. So request and task. And once you send this to the basis consultant, then he would be transporting it from the one server to other server. So if you see here, this is called as customizing request. That means, you see this, whatever you are saving, that you are saving in a customizing request. What is customizing request? How many requests we have? We have two kinds of requests. One is customizing request, one is workbench request. One is customizing request and one is workbench request. What is customizing request? Whatever as a functional consultant we save, it can be SD, MMPP, FI, any module. Whatever the functional consultant save, it will be saved in customizing request. Whatever the technical people save, your ABAPers, developments, whatever they save, that will be saved in the workbench request. What is the difference between customizing request and workbench request? The difference is, let's say we have a dev server like this with the different clients. Let's say this is config client, this is dev client, and this is sandbox, and this is unit testing client. So if you save something in the config client, that configurations will be only within the config client in the server. In the dev server, that configurations will be saved and stored only within the config client. But if your developer saves something, the same configurations will reflect in all the clients. In all the clients within the server. Very important. It will be reflected in all the clients within the server. That's the reason workbench request is also called as cross client or client independent. So in interest, they may ask you, what is cross client configuration? Cross client configuration is all workbench requests are cross client configuration because they update simultaneously in all the clients within the server. Right? That is the difference between the customizing request and workbench request. So as a functional consultant, whatever we save in customizing request. So once you transport that to that means once the configurations is done and the configurations is moved to the next server, that is quality. So now the configurations are in dev system. That means you are still doing the configurations and configurations are done. Then you transported the configurations to the next server, that is quality and assurance. That means the professional testers will test the scenarios and make sure every configuration is perfect or not, right? So for that, what you need to do is we need to create test cases, right? We need to create test cases. So what kind of testings we have? We have unit testing and integration testing. Unit testing is again module specific, and integration testing is across the modules. So for that, you need to prepare a test case document. I'll provide you some test case documents as well for your understanding. Let me just check somewhere it should be. I hope this should be a test case document. Technical, okay, this is tech spec. User manual, STO, no, might be this. Yeah, this is a sales order creation test case document. So your testers will not have any consulting knowledge. They're only testers. They can only test the scenarios and tell you whether test case is passed or failed, right? They don't know how to create a sales order because they are not the actual consultants or end users of SAP SD, right? So you need to give a test case document like this with all the data saying that what to test, how to test. You should also tell them how to test because they don't know the process and what is the expected result, actual result, and status, and that is whether the test case has been passed or failed, and what is the test case document. So this is how a test case document would be looking like. It will have everything, screen by screen, field by field, value by value. So test case type, okay, this is a positive. So every field they will be creating, and the test case they will be creating. That means they simulate every process, creating a sales order. They'll create a sales order and see whether it is throwing some errors when creating a sales order or not. So you need to give what to click, where to click, what to type, everything in a test case document so that they'll test it, and they'll tell you whether the test case is passed or not. If there is any issues, they'll tell you the issues, right? So I'll share these documents with you so that for your idea you can keep with them. So that is a test case document. After test case documents, you create user manual. See, whenever you buy a product, it comes with a user manual, right? So that you can better go through the user manual and make sure use the product to the fullest. all the functions and features you'll come to know once you go through the user manual. So we also prepare user manual how to use SAP, because once you go live and your customer starts using SAP, so he should be knowing, right, how to use SAP, how to create master data, how to create sales order and everything. So how would they know that? Okay, you will give a training, but that will not work. Only training will not work. They should also have some manual to refer. That is user manual. So user manuals is used by end users. So user manual. So user manual looks like this. It has everything. So again, same. So how you need to go through the transaction, and a screen will be open, what data you need to enter, where to click. So everything you'd be mentioning, you see where to click, what data to be entered, everything. You'd be creating a user manual like this, screen by screen, field by field, with all the data, and give it to the customer so that they can go through this document simultaneously. They can do a system study and they can understand how to use this SAP, right? So that is what we create, is called as user manual. Apart from user manual, we also create config document. So what is config document? Let's say that as per our discussion, who is our implementation partner? Anyone? As per our discussion on the first session, we have taken one company, right?
IBM.
That is IBM. So once the implementation is done and the project is go live, Galaxy Pharma has decided to give this project to TCS. So IBM is no longer supporting Galaxy Pharma, and this project has been given to TCS, and TCS is supporting the Galaxy Pharma, right? And you are a consultant with TCS. So you should know, right, what exactly they have configured for IBM, sorry, for Galaxy Pharma, what business scenarios you have configured, what processes they have, what developments or customizations you have done at the time of implementation. How will a consultant in the support project will know what all you have done? For that, there should be a manual, right? So that means you go for a new project, you get a KT, right? Induction session. In that induction session, they'll brief you, right, what all has been done in this project and so far and everything. So how do you get that induction? With a config document. This config document is for consult. User manual is for end users to create transactions in the front end. Config documents are for the consultants for the KT purpose, for the induction. So config documents look like this. So it also comes with a screenshot, where to click, what to click, and everything. You name a concept, that means what all the processes has been configured for that project, everything would be maintained, right? Everything will be maintained as a document. So same, screen by screen, field by field, where to click, what data you maintained, everything would be maintained through screenshots, even in the config document, which is used by consultants. When you are in the supporting or in the KT session, you get these documents to you, so that you also need to do the system study while going to these documents and understand and get a complete idea of what all the processes has been configured for this particular project, what development has been done and everything, so that you can support that particular project, right? So this is a document we prepare. And we also prepare functional specification documents, because customer is using some legacy system until today, some system, and now they are coming on to SAP. So in SAP, they will have lots of the printouts to be taken, right? Quotations, invoices, delivery challan, lots of printouts will be there. So what you need to do, you need to write a functional specification document to an ABAPer, saying that this is should be the layout form. That means the quotation or invoice should be like this. Logo should be here, date should be here, title should be here, amount, signature, footer, header, everything. You give a complete detailed logic to the functional to the ABAPer, so that he will develop a form and assign a number, name, and give it to you back, right? So for that, we write a functional specification document. So what all documents we prepare in the realization phase? These all documents. So once we are done with these all things, next move on to the final preparation phase. So what we do in the final preparation phase? Now configurations are in which system, which server? Anyone?
Del server.
In the quality server.
Development qualities.
We already moved it from development to quality, and in the quality we
Okay.
have tested and we created user manuals, configs, and everything, right? So now the configurations are in the quality system. Now we'll move to the final preparation phase. What is final preparation phase? That is, we give training to the users. Very important interview question, killer question. To whom you have given training? Okay, so only real-time people would be knowing that. To whom you have given training. See, we never deal directly with the end users. We always deal directly with the core user, because there might be 1,000 end users with whom you will talk, right? So we always talk only with the core user. So this is a train the trainer kind of concept. That means you give training to the core user, then your core user will give training to the end users. So your training may be for 10 or 15 days. Then after, your core user will give training to their end users for another 15 days. So we give training to the users. Then we ask for UAT sign off, that is user acceptance test, because we configured everything, we tested everything, and from our side we are saying that everything is perfect. But who is the person to certify and give a sign off saying that everything is perfect? That is the core user, because he has explained all the scenarios and he should test and try it. And again, it's a very important interview question, so it's not there in the document. See, some questions are not there in the document, but even though if I say some is the interview question, please make a note somewhere else. 99% these are only going to be your interview questions for sure, right? So in which server your user has done the testing? That's a very important interview question. So we do testing in quality server. So we ask for UAT sign off. What is UAT sign off? He has received the documents, that is user manual and config documents, and we have given training to the core user. That means he has everything now and understand the system. So we ask him to test and try all the scenarios and give the confirmations whether everything is working perfect or not, right? So he will take some 10-15 days and try all the scenarios, and he will give a sign off, right? That is called as UAT sign off, user acceptance test sign off. But in which server he is doing the testing? That is very important. So in the interviews also they ask this question: in which server your core user has done the testing? Your core user also will do testing in the same quality and assurance server. We'll have a separate client for them, and in that he will do UAT testing, right? So once we ask for the UAT sign off, once the sign off is done, see, throughout the project we take two sign offs. Okay, one is UAT sign off and one is BBP sign off. Very, very important. How many sign offs you have taken in the project? There might be a lot of other sign offs, but we don't take it. That might be technical thing or that might be different. But as a functional, we take two sign offs. One is BBP sign off and one is UAT sign off. So once UAT sign off is done, that means technically everything is perfect. We transport all the configurations from quality to production. Okay, we transport everything to the production. So now the configurations are in which server? Anyone?
Production.
So configurations are in the live server, that is production server last, right? What all we need to use this server? Okay, we have configurations, but what more we need to use this system? We need data. We haven't uploaded any data, right? We only transport the configuration. So configurations are available. If we have the data means it can be customer data, master material data, pricing data. If he has all this data, we can start creating transactions. So now this process of uploading the data into the production system is called as cutover activities. Cutover activities, very important interview question. What is your role in the cutover activity? What is cutover period? What is cutover strategy? What is blackout period or transition time? Lots of questions you will face in the interview. Okay, so what is cutover activity? Cutover activity is nothing but, see, all these days your customer might be using some legacy system. What is a legacy system? Non-SAP system. Non-SAP system is called as legacy system. They might be using some other ERP and they have lots of data in this ERP. So now as customer is moving to the SAP environment, we need to get all the data from the legacy system and upload it into the production system so that customer can start use SAP system for their all day-to-day business. So once we upload it, it depends whether customer want to continue the legacy system or they want to scrap it. Most of the companies continue it. Generally, they use it for inquiry and quotation, that is pre-sales. They use legacy system for pre-sales and other sales activity, delivery, invoicing. They do it in the, because see, they have spent lots of money in maintaining this system as well over the years, right? So they don't immediately scrap the system. Generally, they use it for the pre-sales activities, right? So this process is called as cutover activities. So first we decide what kind of data should be uploaded. What kind of data you need? We need customer data. When I say customer data, everything related to customer. That it can be customers payment details, customers GST details, tax, every details of the customer will be uploading, and material detail. This is from only SD side. We're talking about only SD side. And pricing detail, material price, lots of conditions, everything. And open transactions. What do you mean by open transactions, and why we need open transactions? See, open transactions is the subsequent action is pending. That means, let's say we created an order, or we have done a delivery in the legacy system. If I don't get this information into the SAP system, what happens? I will never know that for a delivery which has been done, I should bill the customer. That means I will be lost, right? So this is called as open transaction. What is open transaction? The subsequent action is pending. The next action is pending. So what all data you will be uploading from legacy to ECC? That is master data and open transactions, right? So how do you upload this? For that, we have some tools. SAP has provided some tools called as LSMW, BDC, and some BAPIs. Some tools like say LSMW. What is LSMW? Legacy System Migration Workbench. Very important. They might be asking a question so like this: what is LSMW? Can you expand? Many times they ask this question. And Legacy System Migration Workbench. We have BDC, Batch Data Communication, BAPIs. We have some baddies like this, lots of business add-ins, business program interfaces, something this is, right? All the transaction data will be uploaded through BAPIs, and all the master data will be uploaded through this BDCs. So what is the preferred tool? So these two tools are available, but what is the preferred tool? That is, most preferred tool is BDC comparing to the LSMW, right? If you want to upload the data with LSMW, you can directly do it. You don't need any help from the technical consultant. That means you don't need any ABAP help to do the BDC, LSMW. But if you want to do BDC, you need technical help. Without ABAP help, you cannot do BDC. So how a BDC looks, let me also show you, and I'll also share this with you. So BDC to create customer master. That means to upload the customer data. We just seen, right? So to upload customer data, how a BDC will look like, what are the recordings we do. So SHDB, with this we do the recording. So I'll share this document so that you can go through later. Okay, this is the complete BDC program for uploading the customer master data. But now in the S4HANA, SAP don't recommend both. It doesn't recommend either LSMW or BDC. In the S4HANA, SAP has come up with a new tool called as LTMC, Legacy Transfer Migration Cockpit. Legacy Transfer Migration Cockpit. So SAP is not encouraging anything LSMW or BDC. Why? The first thing, SAP is slowly shifting completely browser based. That means it should be accessible through anywhere. It should be accessible through anywhere. So if you want to access anything anywhere, it should be on browser. So slowly SAP is shifting through browser, right? So LTMC works on browser. That's the first reason. Second reason, in LSMW, we need to create an Excel sheet. So how do we collect the data from legacy system? Never as a consultant, you will be exposed to the customer data, because it's a lot of sensitive data would be there, right? Customer tax details, payment details. So never you are exposed to the customer data. So what is your role? We need to create an Excel sheet with headers, with all the headers, that is customer, country, language, zip code, like this, all headers, and give this blank sheet to your core user. Then your core user will download all the data from legacy system into this Excel sheet, and he will share this Excel sheet to you. Then you can upload that with the tools, right? That means we are creating this template, the Excel sheet. But coming to the S4HANA, in the LTMC transaction, you don't need to create any Excel sheet like this. Your SAP itself is providing the templates. SAP itself is providing the template. Okay, what data you want to upload? Customer master. Just go and download the template and give it to the customer. That's it. So customer is saying that I want a Z field here. That means a new field to be added. For that, again, SAP has given one more transaction called as LTMOM, Legacy Transfer Migration Object Modeler. Legacy Transfer Migration Object Modeler. That means if in any object, if you want to include some values, you cannot directly do it in the Excel sheet because you just download the template. That's it. But that field is not there in the system, right? So you cannot edit the Excel sheet. So that should be done by again your technical consultant by LTMOM. Right, this is brief of HANA, how you'd upload the data. But coming back to the ECC, we use LSMW and the BDC. With that help, we upload the data. So for that, we draw a cutover strategy. What is cutover strategy? See, cutover strategy outlines smooth the uploading of data onto the server. So how do it happens? That is, a lot of strategy should be drawn. That means you should internally communicate to all your employees saying that there is some transition is going in our business. Everyone cooperate, and we should switch off the legacy systems. Why we should switch off legacy systems? Because see, very important, we need to switch off the legacy systems. This is a legacy system, and your core user has downloaded all the data and put it in the Excel sheet, and we are uploading this Excel sheet into the SAP. If we don't switch off the system, what happen in meantime, if user is creating some transaction, this data is never going to come into the Excel sheet because all the data has been already downloaded, right? So to make sure we don't have any inconsistency, we switch off this particular legacy system and communicate that information internally to all the employees and stakeholders, vendors, everyone's telling that there is some transition going in our system, so we'll not be able to create orders or take the stock. It can be anything. So in the cutover start, we need to carry it out to make smooth transition and explain the steps need to be taken, draw a schedule, and specify prerequisite and business decision required to ensure smooth transition. So what all we need to do? Execution of all transaction processing from go live date in SAP system. That means once the system SAP system is go live, all the transactions will be created in SAP system. We switch off all the legacy systems and maintain a blackout period. Why we are maintaining a blackout period? So that no manual transaction will be carried out while transition, right? And we need to communicate this to all the vendors. So communicate the blackout period to all major vendors and customers. Communicate the importance cutover activities internally within the organization. So there is a lot of strategy. Anyway, you'll get the document you can go through. So we need to communicate this all through the internal and external to all the stakeholders so that no manual transaction or anything carried out. So that is cutover strategy. Cutover period, that means how much time it will take to upload the data. So maximum it will take not more than 2 days, whatever the data you have. Generally, it's planned on a Saturday afternoon. So that, see, you cannot shut down a business like Tata or Reliance for 2 or 3 days, right? Or Airtel, BSNL. You cannot shut down it for 2-3 days, right? So generally, how it is planned? It is planned to have a minimum downtime. So as less downtime as possible, and much of the business of customers or anything is not affected. So we plan generally it's like either from Saturday after 3-4 or midnight of Saturday, and we'll try to finish it by 11 o'clock on Monday. So that least to the least downtime is possible, right? So that is a cutover period. So this is what, as a consultant, what we do in the cutover activity. So now we have the data. So now we have the data, we already have the configurations in the production system, and we also have the data in the production system now. That means once we go live this system is ready to use for customers' transactions, right? That we do it in the next phase called as go live and support phase. So go live and support. See, if I say project is 9 months, that is 6 plus 3. 6 months is implementation time and 3 months is post-production support. If I say 18 months, then the project is 12 months and 6 months of post-production support, or 16 months or 15 months and 3 months of support, like that. So what we do here, the purpose of this phase is to move from project oriented to pre-production or post-production environment. So where we set up a production help desk, and we closely monitor all the transactions, and any issue in the transactions, we optimize the performance and make sure everything is going well. If customers are not able to understand to create some transaction, we make them, we train them again. And these all activities we do it in the go live phase, right? So this is what, as a consultant, we do in the complete new implementation. As a SD consultant, your role in the new implementation. Yeah. So any questions? That's it for today. And you are having almost some 70 to 80 questions to be answered now. By this time, you should be in a position to answer 70 to 80 questions. In this document itself, you'll find some close to 63 questions. And in the between, I told you lots of questions. So put together some 70 questions, you should be in a position to answer by the time. So how many modules you implemented? Did you visit depots? Or what is your project tenure? On what basis you gather the requirements? What are the activities we do in the project preparation phase? What is the gap? Like this, lots of questions. So you'll not be having answers for this question here. The idea is, once you read the topic and attend the session, you should be in a position to answer. If you're not able to answer any question, let me know, I'll give you the answer. Okay, this is like an exercise to gauge your understanding. So first watch the video, then read the concept and try and attempting these questions. You just gauge yourself. So out of 60 questions, how many you are answering? So how much more you need to put effort. All right? Yeah. So any questions for today?
Yeah, Praveen.
Hi, Sam.
Yeah, in this study material, some of the pages are missing. So can you update the new one or something?
Yeah, study material, up to pricing, you have the study material. So as of now, that will not affect your preparation.
Okay.
So you're having study material up to this topic.
But in this topic also, a couple of pages are missing. So that's what I'm saying.
Okay, that means you haven't received the complete document. I'll share with you.
Okay, please. Thank you.
Okay. So I share first up to only 213 pages. Then I share rest of the document once the final fees is confirmed for everyone. So I hope you might be getting only this document. I'll check and I'll update that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So tomorrow we'll be going through support overview. That means, as a consultant, what is your role in the support project? And tomorrow is Wednesday, right? So we'll finish up support overview. Then we'll start our SD topic. First topic, that is enterprise structure. Yeah, Ankush, go
Hello,
ahead.
sir. Sir, we haven't received still any documents, sir, and videos also.
Yeah, as I mentioned in the start of the session, by 10 today you'll receive it.
Okay.
Okay. Once we finish the session, by 10 o'clock, everyone, you'll receive the documents and you'll receive the videos.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Yeah.
Hello. Yeah, Praveen, this is Arvind.
Yeah, Arvind.
Yeah, I requested one number to load SAP, so please forward that number for me.
Sure. You can text me on WhatsApp. I'll share the number.
Okay, thank you. Right.
Okay. Okay. So any other questions for today, anyone?
Can you please again tell functional specification document, sir, about FS?
Yeah. FS document is a little advanced document as of now to understand, because you need to get into the subject to understand it. See, simple. FS document is to communicate with the ABAPer. Let's say, if I say a word called as customer, you are okay. Can you please mute? Can you please mute?
Okay.
Yeah. So see, FS document is a means to communicate with your ABAPer. So if I say customer, your ABAPer will not understand, because your ABAPer will understand only the language called as tables and fields. Technically, tables and fields. So if I want to tell an ABAPer a customer, I should tell the field name of customer, that is Kunar, Kunnr. Customer classification. If I say customer classification, you might be understanding, but your ABAPer will not understand. For my ABAPer, I need to tell it is Kukla, right? So with this, we communicate with the ABAPer. Okay, we'll tell an ABAPer the logic, what I want, and how you need to take that logic. So we'll tell there is a technical transaction called as SE16N. We'll tell him, go to XE16N, and in the SE16N, you pass a table called as, let's say, VBAC. We tell them VBAC, and in the VBAC, take the sales document number, that is VBLELN. So like this, we will tell him what to pass, what to take, and arrive at the end point. This is functional specification that we'll discuss at the end of the session. That's a little advanced, so you'll not be understanding now anymore. Okay. So what is functional specification? It's only a means to communicate with your technical person. Yeah. So any other question?
Sir, hi, Shashank this side. Sir, this technical workbench request, is it automated generated? I mean, automatically generated?
Yeah, it is how your project is going to be, because see, sometimes they'll be giving a series of numbers from which to which you need to follow for the request, or else it is automatically generated. So you don't need to do anything. So by the time when you click on the save button, that number will be automatically generated. Then you proceed.
Okay, sir, and one more thing, sir. Sir,
Yeah.
do we be getting any document related to, I mean, a copy of a workbench request or this customizing request?
Yes, yes. You'll be getting lots of documents. You are seeing, right? There are tons of there. But why I'm not sharing everything is at the
I
moment
get
you'll
it,
be
sir.
confused. Okay.
Ji,
You will be
okay,
confused with all these documents. You will cannot organize them,
okay, sir.
right? So as and when as I'll share you the first set of documents now, and as and we proceed, and whenever we discuss some topic, and at that point you need some document for reference, I'll be sharing the document. If not, you'll see tons of documents. You'll be lost, and you'll be nervous actually by seeing them,
Yeah.
right? So don't worry, you'll receive everything, and you for next 10 years you can use them,
Okay, sir. Thank you.
right? Yeah. So see you all, everyone, and catch up tomorrow. And tomorrow we'll continue with the support project overview. Let's see, as a functional consultant, what is our role in the support project, and what is the levels of tickets and the escalations and everything. And later we'll continue with the enterprise structure. Right. So good night, everyone, and catch up tomorrow. Bye bye.
Praveen. Hi, Praveen.